Michael, you were pleased in a way that the players been disappointed at the draw on Saturday. Has that hunger sort of carried on into training this week?
I think that the lads are in a good place at the minute, so I don't think it's a case of being any more hungry or less hungry. They're in a good place, they're feeling confident, and it's about keeping it going. We talked a while ago about getting on a run, so we're on a run now. The key is, can we stay on it?
And how do you sort of keep that carrot dangling in front of them to sort of, spur them on to the next level, or does it have to come from themselves as well?
It always comes from within. I think the lads just need to look at the league table. There's the carrot there. It's like, how long can you stay there? That's the challenge. It's win the next game, as it always has been. Going to a place where we weren't particularly good last year. New manager coming in, so it'll be difficult. And that has to be the challenge. The incentive's there for all to see now.
You say, can they stay there? Also, can they go top at some point, because you're in striking range, aren't you?
Yeah, not bothered about other teams. So if we win the game, great. I don't care. We end up first, second, third, fourth, fifth. If we've won the game, we've done our job. And that is so. Don't worry about outside noise. Don't worry about other teams, what they do, or the results. Concentrate on what we do. Because if we don't deliver, we won't win. So it's irrelevant. One
other team you do have to worry about this weekend, obviously, Oldham. Dino Mamria, as you say, new manager in, one win, one defeat so far. What have you made of them under him?
They want to play. Look at they fell just the wrong side of a really tight game last week. They won his first game. Both games they've had 500 passes plus, so they do want to knock it around. A similar formation to what we came up against last week. So I think they've only lost one in the last 5 or 6 as well. So the results haven't been great, but they've not get beat a lot recently either. So it'll be a tough game. Any away game in this league is. Grimsby gone to Exeter last week after getting beat 7 at Chelsea the other night. In the week, no one would have seen that. So there's normally 3 or 4 results that go against what you'd expect in this league, because it isn't like the Premier League. You don't have a top 4 or top 2 or whatever it is. It is everyone beats everyone, and that's why it's so difficult to predict results.
Yeah, how do you go about getting that consistency? Presumably it's just always being on it and being mentally in the right place to go and work.
You've got to deliver different things. You've got to turn up physically, mentally, tactically. Sometimes you need a little bit of luck. I tell the lads all the time, it's difficult to win a game of football. You can't just sit and hope to win a game. You need to go and grab your win almost. So we need to do all those things, and if we do, hopefully, if enough players turn up, you win the game.
You came up against Dino very recently, beating Stevenage, and he lost his job after that. Does that mean that he knows probably more about Cheltenham than perhaps you'll know about Oldham, because obviously he's changed clubs since then, but same opponents?
Yeah, I think it was only 3-4 weeks ago. So he'll have done his homework on us for Stevenage, and he'll have done his homework again. So he probably does know us in more detail than what he probably did against other opposition. But like I said, I'm not really focusing on what they think of us. It's how we can impact on them.
They've got bit of a foreign contingent as well. Does that make them sort of different opponents? Is there a different dynamic to playing Oldham compared to most other League Two teams?
It's difficult to say. I don't know what the togetherness, what the harmony in their group is like. But they've got some good technical players. They've got a little bit of pace in the team. Good experience with people like David Wheater. So I'm sure he'll grab a few and pull them in the right direction, because he's had a great career, great pro. So we know they've been having a look at a couple of people as well in the week, so we don't know what's going to happen with them. So I think he's definitely trying to move it in the right direction, Dino.
And obviously you've got competition for places in your squad. I mean, any new injury worries? Anyone coming back into the mix this weekend?
Well, Boyle came through. He didn't feel particularly well on Tuesday, but he got through 55 minutes. Rowan got through 60 minutes. Everyone else came through unscathed. So yeah, other than that, it's all good.
And to have those players sort of, I suppose, queuing up as they are now, sort of, what does that do to the players who have got the shirts and are in possession?
Well, going back to the first point, that's the drive. That's the keep your shirt. You know, the league table, yes, but you need to turn up, because now people are looking over the shoulder thinking, well, he's not bad. He wants my shirt. So that's the competition. That's the drive that every player should have.
Thank you, Colette.
Cheers, Paul.
Michael, Josh Sabeo is going to be out a little while, and is that probably one area where you haven't really now got any cover for if Chris Hussey to get injured, there wasn't anyone naturally who would play there.
No, there's no natural left-sided, but hopefully Josh won't be out too long. Like I said, after the exit game, he had a sort of niggle. I think it's a hernia that he's had. So people come back from those pretty quickly. So we're hoping he doesn't miss too much. By all accounts, the surgery well on Tuesday, and it is a minor operation now. Like, I think people can come back in a couple of weeks. So we're hoping to get him back as soon as possible.
Yeah, last time I asked you about the injuries, you said Ruben Reid was back out there. Is he still progressing how you'd like him to be?
Yeah, he joined in the warm-up with the lads the other day, so obviously that's another step closer to being integrated. He actually joined in a little bit of a finishing session because it was non-contact, so looks like he hasn't forgotten where the net is, which was a positive. And yeah, just it's difficult now. This will be the tough time for him now because he's getting closer to the groups. He'll feel he's ready, but he's still a bit off playing, and obviously you've got to get his match sharpness. He almost needs to do a pre-season as well. So it's great that he's about. It's another body where people are looking, going, he's coming back as well. So again, there's constant competition for places, which is what we want.
Yeah, you mentioned that difficult night at Oldham last season. It was, I think you were trying to get your first win. Not much happened in the first half, pretty tight, and then red card just before the break, wasn't it? Was that one of the big early challenges for you, going in at half time, having just had a man sent off for violent conduct?
There was a few things going off at that point, so it was a difficult time for all concerned. There was things that went on in the warm-up I wasn't particularly happy with. There was obviously Jonah just out of the blue after his best performance the week before went and did that. There was a few things went on in the dressing room afterwards, so it was a bit of a mess at the time. So we've come a long way, but it's all in the past. Like I said, it's boring, but it's just move on to the next one.
Yeah, was the Crewe game also a valuable learning experience because of the way they played and the way you handled it and the way you tweaked things and got to grips with them a little bit better in the second half?
The Crewe one was, they were a good team. I think they're joint favourites to win the league. Like I said last week, I think 3 or 4 or 5 of those players will move on to a higher level at some point. But if you break it down into numbers, they had 2 shots on target. Now they'll be disappointed because Kirk got in a couple of times in the second half and probably should have done better, but their keeper's made a number of very good saves in the last 20-25 minutes. But the challenge is stay in the game. Can't all stay in the game, be resilient, work hard, and we've showed a lot of that this year. The amount of times we've gone a goal down, conceded when we did on Saturday, to respond from that and then to kick on. That was the pleasing thing, that we really went for the jugular when they went down to 10 men.
Are Oldham another one of those clubs that you've kept a bit of an eye on because you were living obviously not too far away, and they've had a few ups and downs, haven't they? Paul Scholes' situation, then coming down to League Two.
Yeah, it's a differently run club. It's obviously a different sort of model. They've had almost like a bit like Watford really in the lower leagues. They've had numerous managers. I've known a few of them. I don't know what's going on as regards to. I do have a look at it. You know, I said it's a club that's in the area that I was in, but there's some good people there. I know that behind the background, and it's a decent place to go and play football.
Yeah, and the fact you're coming up against the same manager for the second time in about 3 weeks with a different club just shows how quickly things can change, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, it's it'll be strange seeing Dino because literally 3 weeks ago I was chatting to him about a completely different team, and he's obviously unfortunately lost his job at Stevenage, but fortunately for him he's got straight back in, which is probably the key thing for him, because it is when you're out. Obviously the phone stops ringing by all accounts, and so to get back in and to hit the ground running. He won his first game last week, like I said, against Carlisle. It was a nip and tuck sort of game. A draw was probably a fair result, so he'll feel hard done by there, but he'll be just looking to improve them.
Cheers, Michael.
And Michael, you got a cup game next week. Are you planning on ringing the changes, or is it another chance to keep that good run of form going?
I don't know. Obviously, who's fit and available. There will be changes to the team. People need opportunities. People need game time, but there's always a balance because you do want to keep the momentum. You don't. It's difficult when you put. Which you see a lot in, particularly when the big clubs and they make 11 changes, and you think, well, there's 11 internationals out there, but when they haven't had any sort of continuity or sort of played together, it is difficult. So there will be changes to the team, but I'm not really focused on that one.
It's another chance to get a big day out of Wembley for the fans. Do you think you could target a good run in the cup as well as trying to? We want
to win every game. It's an important competition financially for the club. We can't be turning money down, so it's. yes, there's the bigger picture is obviously the Wembley thing, but it's more about just take each game. So we'll deal with Saturday first, then we'll pick up where we are, and we'll be picking a team that we think is good enough to win the game, definitely.
Perfect.
Michael, I think Carlisle were the only team that won at home last Saturday in the league. You were talking about how difficult it is to predict. Does that just show it?
Yeah, I think I didn't know that, but it's a different league. The difference between the top and the bottom is minimal. So you go to the Premier League and the top of the bottom's enormous. You know, there's almost 3 leagues within a league there. There's normally a surprise package in this league. There's teams like Notts County went down last year, which I don't think anybody foresees, particularly the year they had before. So it is a really small margins. That's the key to the players. It's, you know, you're not just going to rock up and all of a sudden we've become a brilliant team. You're just going to go, oh, well, it's all right, we'll win because we're unbeaten in 5. Football has a nasty habit, particularly in this league, of pulling it back down to reality.
Dino last week as well said he was looking forward to going to Carlisle because he always wins there. In his press conference today, he's not going to trot out his stats against Michael Duff, is he? Because it didn't go well for him last week, did it?
No, I think I've had 3 games against us and he's 2-1 up. So hopefully we'll be drawing that. But yeah, I'm not particularly bothered about what Oldham say or do. It's about how we do. Obviously, I'll have a beer with Dino afterwards. I've known Dino a long time because he was based up at Burnley. I used to see him in the gym up at Burnley quite a lot. So he's a good bloke.
Yeah, with your manager's association cap on, good to see him back in. Then you were referring to it earlier.
Well, it's just tough. I've heard, you know, there's a lot of good managers out of work, and there's only 92 league jobs. So it doesn't fit the amount of managers who want to manage and the amount of clubs. So it is key to try and get back in as early as possible. And like you said, he managed to do that, and hopefully he does well after Saturday.
Just finally for me, I had Gavin in earlier, and he was talking about how certain players need to be selfish. Do you get that? How they have to have that striker's selfishness about them, and how does that balance within the squad?
No, they all need to be selfish. They've all got their own agendas. They've all got their own goals where they all want to be. But it's getting them to have that individual drive and harnessing it together. Because if they all do well and the team keeps winning, they all win individually and collectively. The team wins, the town wins, the players win. Because you get promoted, or they get a move, or they prolong their career. They're all different little things, but it's getting them, everybody's noses pointing in the same direction. So Gav wants to score goals. Brilliant. If he scores goals, that's good for him, it's good for me. Defenders keeping clean sheets, exactly the same. So it's, you know, we're all in our own separate journeys, but it's getting them all on the bus to get A to B, and then they can all go off again and go where they need to go.
You've said the P word.
What's that? Promotion? Listen, I'm saying we keep winning, everyone keeps winning. So that's the key.